Tony P. Thursday
Eve
aka
is here.
Friday Eve. How's your day?
Sorry,
going
did I say
far?
Thursday Eve? It's Friday Eve.
Friday
Yes.
Eve, baby.
I got to tell you, my friend, we're finally getting a little bit warmer out there, which is nice. I don't see any more snowcrete. Nothing's in there. For the most part, there was actually the other day I saw one of the trucks. There was one more mountain, and this one truck was literally butt up like this, with the wheels like half suspended.
Mm-hmm.
That truck is now on flat ground again. So I tell you, we are now back to square one, my friends. It's truly a wonderful thing. How was your day, my friend? How things going?
You know, it's been busy. Earlier today, I got a chance to talk to Sammy Hagar from Van Halen fame,
What?
Cabo Wabo fame, depending on how you know him. You know, the Red Rocker. He's
wow.
He's got a residency coming to Las Vegas in March. And
No way.
He's doing a real deep dive into Van Halen's catalog, along with his own and some of the heavy metal supergroups that he was involved with in the 2000s.
Okay.
With Michael Anthony, who was the bassist from Van Halen,
right.
along with a legendary guitarist named Joe Santorini. And so I got a chance to talk to Sammy, and I got a chance to talk to Michael. We'll have that for you coming up in the days ahead.
You've had an incredible week of interviews, my friend.
I did talk
awesome
to him,
stuff.
Tony P. We had this exact discussion last night, but I did ask Sammy Hagar about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because he is a Hall of Fame member, which means he's also a Hall of Fame voter.
Oh, is that how it works? Okay,
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
So he told me who he voted for. He voted for one person that is not a rock and roll act.
Interesting. So he may have kind of a more hybrid view of this.
You can check out my Instagram to find out who that is. I posted a little clip of it
Oh,
there.
here you go.
But
Good
we
move.
will have that interview coming up for you.
But again, awesome interviews you've been doing, man.
Thank you. Coming up a
week
little
or so.
later tonight, we'll hear from Wanda Sykes. She is
That's
doing
tonight?
her
Oh, that's
first dramatic
yeah.
movie. She got cast in her first drama. So we'll hear from her all
Wanda
about that.
is one of the most, I think, underrated comics. She's very well known and so well respected, but I think she deserves to have 20 specials. Like, she is so funny.
She's a
and her
multi-Emmy
just
nominated
incredible.
comedian. So this is her first dramatic role, like I said, but she is one of those people who really seems to have no fear when it comes to reinventing herself, because she worked in, she was a bureaucrat here in the D.C. region at one point in her career before she started doing stand-up here in D.C., which led to her comedy career. Now she's branching out into drama, so definitely a very talented.
She has her base here. Right.
So, you know the point of this show. If it's live and it's happening now, we bring it to you. And right now, what's happening live is the body of Jesse Jackson is lying in repose. This is at the Rainbow Push Coalition in Chicago. Tony P, not 100% sure how long he will be there, but this obviously, his loss last week, a huge blow to, he was so active in the civil rights movement. You see the picture of Dr. Martin Luther King above his casket back there.
Absolutely. I mean, when we talked, I think it was Monday or Tuesday of last week, and we were able to talk with the minister and Bishop Peebles, thank you, and the whole community, really talking about Jesse Jackson being that bridge from Martin Luther King to the more modern era and turning the activism into political activism. That was one thing the bishop mentioned that I really resonated with, is that he started to take Dr. King's message, Malcolm X's message, that spurred that civil rights movement into political action, to really cement it during very truculent times in the 70s, 80s, and beyond. And he will be remembered, I think, as that bridge, as that person that truly built a political movement after the beautiful work of Dr. King and others. And I know one piece of information, that there were discussions potentially about having him lie in state here at the Capitol here in D.C., because he was I think he was a shadow senator for D.C. during the 70s, 80s, and I think 90s as well. So he has a very big relationship and ties to D.C., even though he is very well known in Chicago as well, where he's being lied in state tonight. But Speaker Mike Johnson did turn down that request to have him lie in state at the Capitol building. Personally, I think he deserved and earned the right to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol due to his contributions, not just through civil rights with Dr. King, but the years afterwards, and his campaigns for president, where he broke down so many barriers and changed really not just how political campaigns were done, but the issues that were talked about. So Jesse Jackson, truly a titan of civil rights, human rights, politics. This man negotiated the rescue and release of countless U.S. prisoners on foreign soil. He did this throughout his career, as well as a great, just political background as well.
So he will lie in repose again tomorrow from 9
Yes.
a.m. to 9 p.m. in Chicago. Additional services will take place Monday in South Carolina, then Wednesday right here in Washington, D.C. Then a little later, a people's celebration will be held March 6th at the House of Hope in Chicago. A private homegoing service is scheduled for 10 a.m. on March 7th at Rainbow Push.
This is truly, I think, a beautiful way to pay tribute. Multiple weeks to have different opportunities in the places that he had such great impact. DC, I'm glad that there'll be celebrations here on the ground, grassroots support as well as official celebrations. And I think South Carolina is where he originally was from. That was a major part, of course, of his campaign when he won a lot of the southern states in 1988, big part of his political career. And when looking at him, and I've been watching the old speeches, because again, I'm a 27-year-old kid. I was not even close to born when Jesse Jackson was running for president. And listening to that speech in 1988 where he talks about keeping hope alive. And I remember the one line, and I mentioned to the bishop this, I think, in one of my questions, was America will get better and better, and don't surrender. We'll get better, and we'll continue to keep going. And I think that thirst for hope is the thing that Jesse Jackson represented throughout some of the toughest times in our nation's history. And I think his legacy can inform a lot of Gen Z, millennials, Gen Alpha, anybody that goes beyond that, who does feel nihilistic, who does think that there's no hope heading into the 2030s and beyond, that can we take a little bit of the hope that he inspired and put it in us, because he did it.
Well, we will bring you more from that memorial
Absolutely.
as it happens. In the meantime, we do want to head back home now and talk about some big stories that we have been following for weeks. Updates on two major utility failures, as a matter of fact. Today, we finally heard from Washington Gas nearly 2 weeks after a home explosion and gas leak triggered evacuations in Centerville, Virginia. The company said they've taken steps to ensure safety, like conducting multiple gas leak surveys in and out of homes before evacuated residents return. They also responded to people who say they aren't getting enough information about what happened on that February 15th blast on Quail Pond Court.
We really haven't had any communication about what's going on. Are we safe? I'm just hearing now that apparently they have identified it.
So we're told at least 19 families remain under evacuation, but they might be able to return home in the next 24 to 48 hours. A little earlier tonight, around 7 o'clock, the Fairfax County Fire and Rescue Department hosted a virtual town hall meeting to provide the community with updated information about that explosion, the investigation, as well as information regarding ongoing monitoring. The other major utility failure we have been following, of course, is the Potomac Interceptor, Tony P. We had a whole conversation with the Potomac River Keepers last night because Maryland residents tonight had the chance to demand answers from D.C. Water about that massive sewage spill in the Potomac. Last night, it was D.C.'s turn, and that's some of the video you were looking at right there. The meeting started at 7 at Walt Whitman High School. Officials will be explaining the direct impacts for those living in Montgomery County specifically and the surrounding areas. A similar one, like I said, was held last night for DC residents where business owners impacted by the spill got a chance to speak up.
Fishing charters on the Potomac River. So since the advisories have said don't go on the river and don't fish, we're not fishing.
Has it hurt your business?
Oh, for sure. We can't get out on the river. None of my guys get out on the river. I also do I sell lures, so we can't sell lures when we can't fish.
Yesterday, D.C. Water officials said significant progress has been made in clearing a more than 50-foot rock and debris dam that has complicated efforts to repair the damaged Potomac Interceptor. Fox 5's Josh Rosenthal is at that Montgomery County meeting tonight. He was at the D.C. one yesterday. He will have a live update tonight at 10 o'clock on this story.
It just, when thinking about this, the situation in Centerville, we were talking to residents throughout the last week or so. The fact that there is still no change in communications and how residents are going to get back to their homes. There's no processes yet in place from what we're listening to in our reporting. Truly makes me feel it gives me a lot of anger, because how can, maybe the first few days I can understand a little bit of lapse, But now we're a week or two into this, and they still have not communicated about what are some of the steps to come back to your home. How can we communicate progress? And I think for a lot of residents, and I don't live in the area, so I don't want to speculate, but I think a lot of residents with this amount of time being elapsed and the lack of communication may start to feel, when they get back in their home, can I trust anybody? Because if there's a breakdown of trust, then it's going to impact the lives of these residents for the next 2 years. Again, as we learned about NTSB, it could take 12 to 24 months to get to find a cause. And to me, how can you really live in true peace when you know that is there this sort of thing out there that is impacting this that we're not being told about? Because I think at least being told things consistently can be helpful in easing a little bit of that.
We talked to some homeowners,
that
and
pain.
that was one of the things that they told us, is that they would not feel safe going back into their homes until firefighters literally were standing next to them, telling them that it was safe to go back.
And how's the communication with the fire and the gas company? That's another question. Okay, what information are the fire departments getting? Because don't forget, Washington Gas turned off or turned on a pipeline when they weren't supposed to. They didn't communicate that with the fire department. So I think you have to reassess the whole comm strategy, because fire's involved and residents, and you need to have at least one point of contact that can be a source of trust for people.
All right, let's head into the world of politics now. Something right up your alley. Hillary Clinton spent 6 hours testifying behind closed doors today, insisting she had no information about Jeffrey Epstein's criminal activities. The former First Lady and Secretary of State called the deposition before the House Oversight Committee a political stunt, criticizing the panel for not asking President Trump questions under oath about his ties to Epstein. The testimony was halted at one point after a conservative influencer posted an unauthorized photo from the closed-door hearing that had been leaked by Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. Afterward, Mrs. Clinton spoke to the media. She repeated that she thinks the hearing should have been open to reporters and the public. Former President Bill Clinton set to testify tomorrow. The Clintons' interviews are being recorded, and committee members say they plan to release those videos once they are approved. But for more on today's testimony and what comes next, political analyst Madeline Somerville joining us now live. Madeline, thanks so much for spending some time with us tonight on the Live Zone Primetime.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
So first and foremost, talk to me about what you made of today's deposition, and what you make of this leak, how it paused, and what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, so the leak, honestly, is almost comical. It's something that, as a trial attorney, we encounter all the time with lawyers who are, let's say, a little bit camera hungry, where they want to post something and they're so eager to do so because they think it'll be popular, and then they end up getting in trouble because it is very clearly against the rules to do something like that, because it especially in the moment, right, it can directly impact the proceedings and the truthfulness and veracity of them. And it's not surprising coming from Representative Boebert, but even from a apolitical standpoint, right? It's not surprising coming from her, but it's making a mockery of the system. And in reference to Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's testimony. So what was clear to me from what she said was that her affiliation with Epstein was non-existent, and that Bill Clinton, former President Bill Clinton's affiliation with Epstein was that he was friends with the guy who Ghislaine Maxwell used to date. And that ended up translating into the new relationship. But the majority, if not all of their contacts, took place when Bill Clinton was friends with Ghislaine Maxwell in the years preceding her relationship. So yes, Ghislaine Maxwell was at the wedding of Bill and Hillary's daughter, but all of that was directly related to her relationship prior. So, I mean, if they wanted to question her about that, it doesn't seem relevant unless we think that she's always been in relationships with guys like Jeffrey Epstein, in which case, perhaps. But it just seemed like a sideshow. All of it seemed like a sideshow.
Beyond the political reasoning for having these type of testimonies for either side here, what are some of the items or pieces of information that citizens and the American people can gather and gain from these type of interviews with former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and former President Bill Clinton? What are some of those things from a legal perspective or just from an informational angle that people can get and learn from testimony like this?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great question, because it allows people to narrow down exactly what matters versus all the extras that are getting thrown in there to try to distract or manipulate. So first of all, from like a more speech writing perspective, because I've worked in the past for political candidates, it's very clear that all of this is messaging, right? Everything that's done in politics, it's safe to assume that they are messaging something to you. And in this case, what's happening is we are moving the focus, right? We are shifting the focus from the president to the Clintons. And timing matters in all of this. And with the most recent release of the tranche of emails and other documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, it makes sense that they would want to distract and focus on something like the other relationships that Jeffrey Epstein had, or aliens, right? That's a recent thing that the administration's brought up too. So when you are listening to, I prefaced what I'm about to say with all of that, because when you are listening to this testimony, think about what's actually relevant to the question that we're asking. First of all, think about the question that we're asking, right? And it's, in this case, they haven't even made it clear because it's really just a distraction. So you can make up your own in this case, which is, what is the point of this, right? Like what are we supposed to glean from this interview? And then think about the major points of fact that she's given you here. And like I said, the major point of fact in this case was that the relationship that she and her husband had with Ghislaine Maxwell was prior to her being with Epstein. That's the only piece of factual information that we got that teaches us anything. So again, figure out what question we're supposed to be answering, as they should have told you, but even though they didn't figure that question out, and then try to match up the facts with your answer.
So the Clintons had kind of put this off for a little while. They were threatened with being held in contempt. Why did they eventually agree to this if they think this is just political theater?
Yeah, so it goes both ways. If they don't agree to it, then people assume that they're guilty, right? If they don't agree and they say this is just political theater, then people assume that they're guilty. But if they're subpoenaed, right? If this committee uses subpoena power, then they have no choice and they have to go, or else they face incarceration. So they get caught between a rock and a hard place in the first scenario, and in the second they don't have a choice. So if it was in this instance that they didn't need to subpoena them and that they were there voluntarily, it's because there's no good option. And if you want to try to clear your name, the best thing that you can do is go speak. Like when I talk about criminal trials, and a defendant has the right, obviously, during their trial to get up and make a statement for themselves, I often say, don't do it, because it's another opportunity for that defendant to put their foot in their mouth or to say something that is going to be worse for their case. It's better to not expose yourself to that. But if that defendant has a sincere plea with information that needs to be told, that can only be told by them, that's the one time that I think it's acceptable, because it's good for the jury to hear that from a person who can deliver that message authentically. And perhaps that's what happened today in this instance.
Secretary Clinton and former President Bill Clinton have been very vocal about having these meetings in the public or a public forum, a testimony and hearing in D.C. on camera, things of that nature, like we've seen in the past for other investigations. What do you think is the reasoning why the Congress has not allowed that to happen, where either Secretary Clinton or former President Bill Clinton is up on Capitol Hill talking directly to the camera and engaging members of Congress? Why do you think that has not happened?
So I think you're still walking a very difficult line, a really thin line there, to try to mediate between putting your foot in your mouth, right, and opening yourself up to risk and making yourself vulnerable, because the press can always twist words, And that's me using my lawyer brain, right? If I were their lawyer, I would advise them to talk as little as possible, because you don't want to make them vulnerable to scrutiny that's undeserved. And if you are delivering a planned statement, right, it's different from going out to a press gaggle and answering questions by people who may or may not have their own agenda when they're asking you that question.
Is there any chance that the sitting president would have to be deposed in this same case? Are the Clintons hoping that by doing it themselves and possibly setting an example, other high-profile public figures, including the president, could eventually be deposed as well?
Well, I certainly think that they're hoping that other high-profile figures can be deposed as well, and that they view themselves as setting an example. When it comes to the sitting president, the rules are very foggy there, because obviously sending a subpoena to a former president is very different than one who's sitting in the office. And I think I don't know this for sure, but I think in order for him to have to sit there, he has to be impeached first, because there are certain specific processes that prevent calling the president away from his duties as president in order to testify. And that goes not just for an instance like this, but in any case, criminal or civil, because the president has a right to continue his duties and to postpone his obligation to do anything else, literally anything else, until after his term is over. So I'm not 100% sure on the law there, but I know that's how it works in every other instance. And so we'll see if he, according to the legal experts, even if he's not compelled to, I'm sure that, or even if he is compelled to, I'm sure that there will find a legal reason to keep him out.
Yeah, and I think Bill Clinton knows all of the legal intricacies of what it
Right, as
of
a
a sitting
lawyer himself.
president being deposed.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Certainly.
Now, as we look to tomorrow's testimony and deposition from former President Clinton, what are some of the questions that we can expect to be asked of the former president, and how can we expect him to respond? We saw Secretary Clinton today have a very strong statement and went after congressional Republicans a little bit, talked about the hypocrisy. How do we see tomorrow's hearing going from a question perspective as well as the response from the former president?
Yeah, so I think that when it comes to Bill Clinton, he is an entirely different character, and people need to remember that he's a different person too. It's a unique situation, because when it comes to Hillary Clinton, people already have some really strong feelings about her. And by people, I mean the people who are asking her questions on the oversight committee. And everyone still has their political agenda and is trying to communicate a message to the people. And so when they're speaking to Hillary, right, they want to make clear what their perspective is on her as a person and as her former candidacy in order to demonstrate loyalty to the president. I think the same thing will go for Bill when it comes to demonstrating loyalty, because recently we've heard from the president, lay off of Bill. Who knows, right? It could be he might be saying that because he would like the same kind of treatment to happen to him once he's in the hot seat, or if he's ever in the hot seat, to have some sympathy for Bill in that situation, because it could be him. So I honestly, as somebody who knows that there's a lot of communication that goes on behind the scenes, I think that the lawmakers who are on the oversight committee are going to take their cue from the president. And they're going to fall in line with whatever they tell him to do, whatever he tells them to do, because that is the messaging perspective of the Republican Party in general, which is to have one message, which when it comes to good things works great. When it comes to covering up something, it working so well doesn't work out for the American people.
All right, Madeline Somerville, thank you so much for joining us and lending your expertise to us tonight here on the Live Zone Primetime. And of course, we will be watching tomorrow when former President Bill Clinton has his turn in the spotlight.
You got it. Thank you guys so much.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to leave you with a live picture of the Capitol wheel out at National Harbor from our Fox 5 Skycam. When we come back, Tony P is going to talk about some of the other stories he's been keeping an eye on this Thursday. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime. We've been watching this shot of the Capitol wheel lit up purple. It looks like there are words scrolling across
I think
it, but
so.
Tony P and I cannot figure out what it says.
My
So
eyes
if
are
you
glazing
at
over just trying to read it.
If you at home can tell
Hold on.
if this is actual words.
Wait a minute.
Or
You know, it looks
if
like
it's like a symbol.
I think it's just like the color changing, the blue. I don't think there's any words there. I don't see it.
I can't exactly tell
You know what it
what's
looks like? It
happening there
looks like
either.
it looks like a Wi-Fi signal kind of radiating out. It's kind of
Yeah.
what I look at it as. Maybe
Well,
I could be wrong though.
In the meantime, coming back in studio, Tony P keeping an eye on some
I'm going to
other big
radiate to
stories.
you all of these stories that I have for you today from around the country and in your neck of the woods, my friends. I hope that's not trademarked. So some
I'm
allies,
sure that's a TOP thing.
potentially, maybe, right? With TOP. All right, back on message here. Some allies of President Trump are circulating a draft executive order that said that they could declare a national emergency over U.S. elections, citing claims of foreign interference from China in 2020. 17-page draft would give the president expanded authority over election rules, including mail-in ballots and voting machines labeled as potential vectors of foreign influence. White House officials confirmed that they are reviewing the proposal, but offered no public comment or commitment. And critics warned it could conflict with the constitutional powers reserved for Congress as well as the states when administering elections. In the world of media, we just got this news about an hour ago. Warner Brothers Discovery's board pivoted away from the previous accepted deal with Netflix after Paramount submitted a superior bid that included financial protections and coverage of Warner's breakup fee. Netflix declined just about 30 minutes ago to raise its offer during the formal review period, leaving Paramount positioned to advance negotiations that could significantly reshape the streaming market. Federal scrutiny of Epstein records also intensified today after officials acknowledged a redaction error in the last release files batch that revealed identifying details about cooperating witnesses throughout the investigation. Justice Department leaders said that they were reviewing document processing safeguards to protect witness identities in the future. In the world of New York politics and local politics, Mayor Zohran Mamdani traveled to Washington, D.C. today to meet with President Trump to discuss federal support for housing affordability and urban development. Mamdani presented policy proposals aimed at boosting construction and reducing housing costs, and both sides described the policy discussions as substantive. And there was an image there, Chris, where Mayor Mamdani presented the president with a mocked-up version of the New York Daily News saying that the president and New York will be working together, as opposed to years ago when there was some friction, I guess.
A little bit of friction there.
It did, yes, exactly. But hey, you know what? Mayor Mamdani seems to have the magic touch when it comes to blending local and national politics, but I digress. That meeting also occurred amid controversy at Columbia University, where federal immigration agents detained a student inside residence housing today before releasing her hours later. University officials said agents misrepresented themselves to gain entry, while federal authorities said officers properly identified themselves and acted on immigration enforcement authority. The incident, of course, prompted protests on campus. A new law in Kansas took effect today that invalidated about 1,700 driver's licenses held by transgender residents as roughly as many birth certificates reflecting gender identity changes. Legislation bars official documents from listing any sex other than the one assigned at birth and requires affected people to obtain new IDs under the state's updated definition. Democratic Governor Laura Kelly vetoed the bill, but GOP supermajorities overrode the veto this year. Like other recent state measures restricting gender identity recognition, Kansas's new law also limits restroom and single-sex facility access based on birth sex. As critics say, it places additional burdens on transgender residents required to secure new identification within a grace period or without a grace period. In the world of business, mortgage rates continue to ease as the average 30-year fixed rate dipped below 6% today, settling around 5.98%, the lowest level in years. Economists linked the decline to cooling inflation data and investor demand for long-term government bonds, and said lower borrowing costs could stimulate demand even as housing supply remains constrained. Talking about tariffs, FedEx says it plans to refund customers if tariff charges struck down by recent court rulings from the Supreme Court are returned to the company, and that any recovered funds would be passed back through shippers who originally paid them at the outset. In the world of sports, Tiger Woods and Elin Norderen made a rare joint appearance to celebrate their son Charlie Woods after his high school golf team won the Florida State Championship. Video from the event showed both parents attending the team's ring ceremony in support of Charlie's growing competitive golf success. Again, haven't seen the two of them together publicly for quite a long time since their 2009 divorce. And in the world of television and streaming, folks, you're going to be excited for this one. A lot of you love this. Heated Rivalry was officially renewed for a second season. Filming is scheduled to begin this year, and we'll have a planned spring 2027 release as producers expand the show's storyline following strong initial viewership, of course. And finally, for our Black History Month Spotlight of the Day, I think it's our last one, right? I think it's the second last. I thought today was Friday. My bad. My mind's going crazy. I have one more. For our Black History Month Spotlight of the Day, Brigadier General Benjamin O. Davis Sr. became the first black general in U.S. military history in 1940. Davis spent more than 4 decades serving in a segregated army and became one of the first black officers to command troops in World War II. His promotion marked a historic breakthrough that helped pave the way for integration of the U.S. Armed Forces. And he's also an alum right here in D.C. of Howard University, a true legend in the military community and someone who broke down barriers.
Have you watched Heated Rivalry?
No, I have not, actually.
I have not either, but the one thing I do know is that star Connor Story is going to be hosting SNL this weekend.
Oh, no, it's perfect timing.
Promos pop up type of a thing.
You know,
the timing is perfect. Obviously.
That'll be on the What's Chris is Watching in a year from now. We'll have the
exactly.
season 2.
No
I'm already
question
excited
about
for that. No, but I'll tell you, I think it's pretty good PR timing, given the fact that there's so much blowback from the U.S. men's hockey team. Deserved blowback, in my opinion. I think for the insensitive joke that they laughed at when it concerns
But this was one of those
women's hockey.
true,
But
dark,
this is a
horse, sleeper hits for sure.
Yeah, it was.
A Canadian TV show that, just the more buzz built around it, just those numbers, those viewership numbers, just kept going up and up and up and up and up.
And again, it's spread throughout organic social
Smut
engagement.
is in, Tony P. That's what I hear. Smut is in.
God,
All
really?
right. We're taking a live look from our Fox 5 Skycam at the stacks over the nation's capital, the Washington Monument, the bridge, the wharf. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear from comedian Wanda Sykes, who's trying something new. She's in a new movie, but it's a drama. It's her first major dramatic role. We're going to talk to her all about that coming up next. We'll be right back.
On the wagon 4 years now.
Should I clap? You not my mama no more.
I'll take care of you.
Well, heck that.
Who said Hector out their mouth?
I didn't see all your fights back in the day. Catch a fight with me sometime. I guess I like that.
That boy of yours got something.
Got a real fight in the gym now.
He definitely got your fire.
So that was part of the trailer for the new drama called Undercard. And for star Wanda Sykes, it's safe to say it's one of the toughest roles of her career, not just because it's her first dramatic role, but because she plays a former boxer turned trainer. And before the premiere, I got a chance to talk to Wanda and director Tamika Miller all about the movie and more.
I'm going to start off with a full confession, Wanda, especially for you. I'm actually from Delco, which means I grew up on Rocky. As you can see, the passion for him runs a little more than skin deep. But Tamika, I actually want to start with you because whether it's Rocky or whether it's Raging Bull, Creed more recently, boxing movies just seem to hit a little harder, pun intended. Why do you think that is?
Boxing is the backdrop. Right. But I think that Undercard is a film that hasn't been made, you know. I mean, yes, we can always compare it to Rocky or Creed or Southpaw or you know, or Raging Bull, if you will. But we've never seen a woman boxing trainer, a Black woman boxing trainer, training a man in this male-dominated sport of boxing. And so that's intriguing to me. That's special to me. And so the relationship that this mother has with her son and this mother has with her daughter is the thing that really, for me, is the forefront, at the forefront as a storyteller. And the boxing is a great, yes, is a great vehicle to tell that story, no doubt, no doubt.
This is a very personal story for you, though, too, and it goes back nearly a decade. How does it feel to kind of put it out there now?
Wow. You know, time goes by so fast. It really does. I mean, the short of it is it feels amazing. You know, I'm so proud of Wanda. I'm so proud of this tremendous cast who came on board, who believed in my vision, and who trusted me to, you know, bring us home.
And I love that my friends can now see that I wasn't lying about it. You know, it's like, hey, let's go here. I said, no, I got to go train. You know, I got a boxing training session. And, you know, I'm doing this film, and they're like this. Yeah. And then they started to, when that film coming out, Wanda, yeah, well, you know, we got to make it first, but I got to go train. I got to train, you know. So I'm so happy it's finally here. People are going to get to see it.
Yeah. So this is a story all about second chances and second acts. You obviously are at the top of your game, but this was a departure for you, obviously. You have a history as a comedian, and this is a much more dramatic role. What was it about this role that attracted you to it and wanted to kind of go down this avenue?
The script. And Tamika was so prepared, and, you know, she sent the deck, and the deck, she knew exactly how she wanted this film to look. Yeah, and I think just her confidence in me made me believe, like, okay, let's give it a shot, you know. And she didn't waste any time, because as soon as I said, okay, yeah, I'm in, she was like, okay, meet me at Wild Card Gym Saturday morning. And I'm like, no one's called my agent. We don't have a deal. There's no paperwork. And she's already just throwing me out there. Just show up Saturday and get punched in the face. I'm like, what is happening?
Wanda mentioned the confidence that you had in her. Obviously, was it hard? Did you find it hard to have that sort of faith in her to take on this role of No Mercy, which, by the way, I just have to mention is one of the greatest nicknames for a boxer of all time. Did you just know that she would crush it from the beginning?
Yes. That's the short answer. Like, yes. I've been a fan of Wanda's for a long time, and I was really intrigued by the idea of having her play a role that we had never seen her in, knowing that the audience, what makes Undercard that more special is that no one would see this coming from Wanda, you know, and so I had that vision, and I'm thankful she said yes.
Well, I think audiences will be as well.
Queen Latifah said no.
Well, there is this kind of long history of comedic actors or actors with comedic backgrounds kind of turning in these tour de force dramatic performances. What is it, Tamika, that you think makes maybe comedians kind of really excel in this dramatic arena?
I think it's twofold. I think it's what we're used to seeing them do and how we're used to seeing them present themselves. And that's what we know. It's like a muscle, right? We know Wanda for comedy, we know her for stand up, but then to see that person completely different is I think it does something to us on a cellular level. First of all. And then the other part of that, I think, and Wanda can speak to this, but I think comedians, I think you have to have a certain amount of vulnerability and fearlessness to do what Wanda does in the world, as in terms of stand up. And I think as that translates wonderfully, I think for drama, because it requires you to go places that are difficult to go.
There's drama in comedy, to break it down, just drama, it's the setup and the punchline, that's comedy, So I just went in with, okay, I have to tell this story, but without the twist, without the comedy.
Just a reminder, you can catch Undercard in select theaters on Friday. Wanda was so kind. Director Tamika Miller, likewise. So I hope people go out and check this movie out and support, this new direction for her career. I did ask her whether she plans on doing more drama. She says, right now, she doesn't have any plans to. It was just this particular role that really spoke to her, and working with Tamika Miller, and she's an executive producer on it as well.
Wow.
But I do love when she said that she was just glad that Queen Latifah said no. That's how she ended up with the role.
I mean, I think when looking at Wanda Sykes, her comedy is, she's so she makes me laugh out loud, laugh, because she's so intense, and she really has intense moments, and her punchlines are really funny as well. She has kind of that range, and I think her intensity, her passion that she brings to comedy, she also can be more subtle with things during certain jokes. Her delivery, I think all of that does translate to her being a really good drama actor because of because she doesn't just get up there and say jokes. She gets into them. She gets that she's passionate and she loves the craft. I would love to see her in many more films, either leading, leading in roles like this or doing others. There's so many great. She was in Evan Almighty, and again played even though it was a comedic role, she had some good dramatic moments, which is why I'm not shocked that she's going to hopefully do more dramatic movies.
All right. In the meantime, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, our travel and adventure buddy Ryan Lynch is back.
Yes.
He's sharing some spring break getaway recommendations.
Is it already coming? Spring break's almost here.
Well, believe it or not. Hopefully that means warmer weather right around the corner too. We'll be right
so.
Back.
With Eugene Naughton, President.
Welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime here on this Thursday evening, Friday Eve, spring break right around the corner.
Yes,
I know,
sir.
holding out hope
Yes.
that we're going to get that warm up. Things are going to
Yes.
feel a little better.
We'll be
Ryan
okay around
Lynch
here.
Is back, and he's got some recommendations because he is our go-to travel and adventure buddy. He joins us now live, and he is just back from Tennessee.
Yes, literally just back, like
Wow.
a little over 24 hours back from Tennessee. I was in Pigeon Forge. You been to Pigeon Forge?
I haven't. I've heard many great things about it.
It's
though. Like,
fantastic.
so many
Chris has
new
not been
rides.
either.
I
You
have not
both
been
need to
either.
go. And when you go, where you should start at is Dolly Parton Stampede. Now, this is a dinner show, so you are going to be served a multi-course meal. It is located right there in Pigeon Forge. Now, the one thing I do want to show you when we first go in, you're going to see a giant book open right there. That is for the Imagination Library. Dolly Parton does something that's truly amazing. She makes sure that kids all the way up to the age of 5 are getting a book. I think it's every month. So
She's a huge advocate
Oh,
for reading.
absolutely. And she's such an entrepreneur. So she has these dinner show attractions. Stampede is one of them. And if you are looking for a spring break idea, we're only 2 weeks away
It's
from a lot of
crazy.
spring breaks. I highly recommend for families to take a look at Pigeon Forge, okay? Take a look at some of these dinner shows, all right? There is so much going on,
This
and
is
it's
giving me medieval times vibes.
100%. We just talked about that
Right.
recently.
More
Yes.
modern version of it.
Yes, and so this could be great for a date night. You've got somebody in your life that's into equestrian
That'd be
stuff.
unique.
Fantastic. They've got all the horse shows. Like I said, this is a dinner theater, so you are going to get a multi-course meal. So my girlfriend, I am a vegetarian, but for the sake of this show, I tried that world famous vegetable soup. Now you're saying, Ryan, you're a vegetarian, vegetable soup, no problem. Chicken broth. Okay? But I did
okay.
it.
All right.
I took one for the team.
Hey, listen,
And guess
you know,
what?
you got to enjoy the travel
Yes,
nowadays.
and it was fantastic. This is their new section here. It's called Butterfly Dreams. It's incredible, okay? Oh, that's a Scottish Highland cow for you, man. Hitting that viral buzz. So very, very fluffy. The show is fantastic. You're separated. Half the side is north, other side is south. It's interactive. Look at them pass the flag around, okay? And very, very patriotic. All right, making sure that we got those red, white, and blues flying. But it's a great show, very, very entertaining. Lasts about an hour and a half. The end of the show, or before the show if you want, you can actually meet the horses. They've got 32 horses.
Huh.
Yes, incredible.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it first started out called Dixie Stampede, and they actually changed the name in 2018, okay?
So I'll let you continue, and
Okay.
then I have a question.
Okay, sure. And that's the pre-show is fantastic too.
Yeah.
20-minute pre-show, running through a bunch of hits. Really, really fun.
I have some questions about this next one.
Okay.
Because we are talking about the Titanic.
Okay, Titanic Museum opened April 8th, 2010 to a cost of $25 million, all right? This guy here, he's handing you your boarding pass when you first go in. So they're gonna give you a boarding pass for a real passenger, and as you go through, that was Katie. Katie did an excellent job for us on our tour, but as you go through, you're gonna be looking for that passenger. That chair, that would have cost you $1 for the whole trip. Katie, who was a third-class steward or a maid, she would have only made $5 a month. Keep that in mind.
$5?
Okay? Yes. Now they're going to show you the whole voyage of the Titanic. Look at that. There's that swab of carpet right there. That is the last surviving piece of carpet from the Titanic, valued at $30,000.
Yikes.
Okay? Only way the guy got it was because he got it before the ship. He took a little piece home to his wife because they had no carpet. So the museum is just full of so many interactive things, okay? Look, there's my girlfriend shoveling coal, okay? Can even it's not real coal. Relax.
But it's the action. It's immersive. You're getting involved
very
in it.
viral. You know, somebody like yourself.
Right.
Like,
Hey, you too, my friend.
Hey. That is what a cabin looks like in third class. So not like the movie portrayed. It was actually a lot nicer. That is the grand
this
staircase.
Looks very much like.
Now, that room right there.
I imagine meeting Leo in my dreams.
Oh,
boy.
This is their newest section. It's a dining room that they actually set up for the first class passengers. You actually get to move the wheel. And then here's really cool. So you get to feel what 28 degrees water feels like, which is the water they went into. You get to climb up. You see me struggling to get up there. That's the 45-degree angle of the boat going down.
Oh my goodness.
Everybody there is very dedicated. It's very immersive. So all the people that work there, they play characters that were on the actual ship. So that guy was a colonel.
Oh my god! Now, are there certain like interactive shows, like presentations that they
Absolutely,
have inside the
documentaries.
inside the museum?
100%. Yeah.
So is that a replica of the ship?
Yes, it's a 2-story. It's I think the scale on it is it's like half scale.
Wow.
But it's a 2-story ship. It's massive.
So, is there any actual connection to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee with the Titanic, or is this just something that they wanted to...
I think it's an educational thing for families. Families are coming to the area. They're looking for something for their kids to do.
Listen, it's the ship of dreams, and that dream, obviously, you know, the maiden voyage didn't go according to plan, obviously, but it has occupied a place in people's imaginations ever since, and not just because of it.
And it's really, really cool. That's actually the designer of the ship. He went down with the ship along with the captain. Ooh. All right, so where we're going? Pirates next. So this goes back to that medieval times. Okay, so we got Pirates Voyage Dinner and Show. Opened June 7th, 2019 to a cost of $28 million. This is a 30,000 square foot arena with a 300,000 gallon water lagoon. So prices on this are they're gonna fluctuate depending on the season. You're looking at anywhere from $60 to $88 for an adult. For a child ages 3 to 9, you're looking at $35. It's fantastic. Okay, another dinner theater. This is their new South Pacific celebration, which is new to this year. Fire dancing. The haka, which they use, the New Zealand war dance, is actually public domain because hakas, I didn't know this, are copyrighted.
Interesting.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, the VP of marketing, Leah Hex, told me about it. So very cool, very cool. So yeah, I loved the show. I thought it was very entertaining, and the food was actually pretty good too. I had 2 helpings of mac and cheese because I am a vegetarian, but my girlfriend Stephanie loved the fried chicken. Okay, she really liked it.
How long is the show?
Show lasts about an hour and a half.
Okay, it's not bad.
There is a little bit of, you want to get there early, make sure you get a seat.
Right.
You have a section, but you don't
not
get
reserved
assigned.
seating.
Yes, so you want to make sure you get there so you can get a good place, so you can make sure you see the show, but you do have a section that you're in, and they do separate you by sides.
Okay.
So it's Crimson side is the side that we were on.
Got it.
A lot of interaction with the audience on that one.
That is fascinating.
Another fantastic show, and it's, again, Dolly Parton's dinner show attraction. So she has that one as well.
Oh, she owns both of them.
She has both of them, and she has a couple other shows too. So maybe in the future.
She is truly an entertainment entrepreneur.
She not only has them here, but she has these shows also in Branson, Missouri, and Myrtle Beach, and she also has one in Panama City. She is busy.
Yeah, that lagoon has got to be really cool.
Oh, it's sick. They got a seal
like a pool
and everything
on steroids.
that comes out. It's fantastic. The diving, it's very like a Cirque du Soleil. Next up, we're going to be talking about her resorts.
Huh.
Okay, so she has 2 resorts, all right? The first one we're talking about is Heart Song Lodge. This is her feelings for the Smokies. Now, this is the Heart Song Suite. This is an incredible room. I love it because the vinyl records obviously on the wall. But I love the appointments of this room. I love the wallpaper.
Yeah.
I love the way it feels.
Nice
I
tub.
love that. Exactly. I know you saw the tub.
Oh, that's
anything for some water.
Hot tubs.
Yes.
And regular tubs. I need them.
He loves a good soap.
There we go. I was waiting for that
a
one.
good Schwitz.
But what you need is that cinnamon bread. Okay, so the cinnamon bread is one of the things that people love about Dollywood, and you can actually get that at the resorts. And there's an indoor pool, Tony.
Is there a hot tub there?
There is.
Yes.
Yes. All right, this is Dreammore. This is the other resort. It is incredible. It's her first resort. It was actually opened in 2015, so they are celebrating their 10th anniversary. This is the Dolly Parton suite. So it's a very big deal to get inside of here. So there's a door over there. You see that door, Tony?
Yes.
So that locked off door is where she actually sleeps when she's staying there. So, but this
goodness.
whole room is appointed to the things that she would want. And there's little details in the room, like that picture with her and her husband and her best friend. So it's a very, very cool experience. If somebody loves Dolly Parton and they want to just sit in her shoes for a second, this room would be the way to go.
The high ceilings are beautiful too.
Oh yeah. The whole resort is just very well branded with her, very well themed, very classy, a very nice deluxe resort, and it's set in the Smoky Mountains. So
Can't get any better than
you
that.
can't beat that. And they have a hot tub for you, too.
Ryan, we're
Exactly.
down to 3 minutes.
Okay.
And I know you want to get to the night flight.
Yes, let's talk about Night
expedition
Flight next. Okay, Night Flight Expedition. Night Flight is the newest attraction that is coming to Dollywood. I'm right there with Eugene Naughton. That is the president of Dollywood, and we're talking about this giant investment that they're doing. They took us on a construction tour, which is super cool because you're seeing a ride in progress. That is the entrance right there. It is not done up yet. It's in a raw state, and they were showing us how the queues are going to look. These are some of the design features that they're going to show to us. See, that's what it's going to look like when it's done and put together. That is Wes Ramey. He is the head of the marketing department there. And we also, this ride is it's an expensive investment for Dollywood at $50 million. But what it's going to do is it's going to be a family coaster. So if 39 inches and up, that's the average 5-year-old's going to be able to ride this with the whole family. And the ride itself lasts 5 minutes. It's going to take you through the Smokies. You're going to soar through the Smoky Mountains. You're going to go down a big dive, and you're going to end up with 500,000 gallons of surging whitewater coming at you. So it's very cool. I'm extremely excited about this.
When is that one supposed to open?
Spring. So what Eugene told me, he's got all the way till June 15th. But let's talk about chicken, okay?
Yeah,
Even though I'm a
I have
vegetarian.
some questions about
Yes. So this is Frizzle Chicken Cafe, okay? This is a breakfast and lunch location with over 100 animatronic chickens that go off every 20 minutes, and they have a side show every 10 minutes, okay? It's beyond charming.
That's adorable.
Okay? It is.
Adorable.
Yeah, and the names are very cute. They all have puns attached to them. Of course, there's going to be a Dolly Parton chicken in there. But the breakfast was fantastic. The cinnamon roll pancakes, unbelievable. So if you're in Pigeon Forge and you're looking for some spring break ideas, I just laid out a banquet for you. Okay? Yes.
So Ryan, let me ask you a
Oh,
question.
yes.
Adorable. Loretta
First
hen.
and foremost, if people want to follow you, if they want
Yes.
more information, how do
This
they do it?
Rye Guy on TikTok, Rye Guy VA, same on Instagram. Hit me up.
They're obviously making a major investment
Yes.
into this area. How many families, how many tourists are they getting a year?
A lot. And the thing about it is why she's doing this is because this is where she's from. So she wanted to bring jobs back to the community where she's from. I mean, you can't get any more noble than that.
Nope.
Yeah, so Dolly is fantastic, okay? Everybody loves Dolly Parton, all right? I'm just super excited.
Including Angie Golf. Thank you
Yes.
to everyone
Yes.
who joined
Yes.
us once again on this Friday Eve, whether you're watching on Fox Local or Fox 5 DC's YouTube page. Fox 5 News at 10 is coming up next for Tony P.
I
right
love
up
those
here.
chickens. I love the
Producer
chickens.
Chris, we'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.